Welcome to Research Roundup by Integrated Benefits Institute, the podcast where we dive into the latest trends and research in the workplace health and productivity space. I'm your host, Dr. Sarah Lee Gurlau. Each episode, we will bring you the most recent studies, insightful analyses, and actionable takeaways to help you create a healthier, more productive workplace. Whether you're an employer, a benefits consultant, or a vendor, this podcast is designed to keep you informed and ahead of the curve. Let's get started. Today, we're focusing on one of the most pressing issues facing employers in 2025, mental health. Every company talks about investing in it, every benefits package lists programs to support it, but our latest research at IBI asks a deeper question. Are employees actually using those benefits, and do they work when they do? The answer, as you'll hear, is both surprising and incredibly important. This episode is all about one of our newest studies at IBI, Mind the Gap, examining the relationship between benefit utilization, employee well-being, and organizational outcomes. So let's start with our headline finding. In our survey of more than 1,200 full-time employees across industries, we discovered that simply having access to mental health benefits does not strongly improve well-being or productivity. But when employees actually use those benefits, the story changes dramatically. Employees who engaged with mental health resources showed 287% stronger links to well-being and lower presenteeism compared to employees who only had benefits available but never used them. Think about that for a second. 2 employees, same company, same set of offering. One never engages with the programs and their well-being barely budgets. The other actually uses them, and suddenly you see real improvements in their health, in their performance, and in how much of themselves they can bring to work every day. The message is clear. It's not enough to offer benefits. Utilization is what moves the needle. And here's where it gets even more interesting. We found that when employees used 6 or more different health benefits, the impact multiplied. Well-being scores rose by 17%. Psychological safety, that sense that you can speak up, take risks, trust your team, climbed by nearly 30%. Presenteeism, or working while struggling and underperforming, dropped by almost 19%. In other words, the more employees engaged across different types of support, the stronger the outcomes. This shows us that mental health isn't one-dimensional. Employees benefit most when they have a portfolio of resources to draw from: clinical, cultural, and preventative. So which benefits actually matter the most? A lot of us might assume therapy sessions or having mental health covered in your insurance would be the big drivers, but the data told a different story. The strongest predictors of positive business outcomes weren't clinical services. They were cultural supports. Flexible work policies that allowed employees to adjust when and how they work, manager training that equips leaders to have supportive conversations, and mental health days that gave people the permission to pause and recover. These inventions consistently outperformed traditional clinical offerings when it came to driving well-being, productivity, and psychological safety. That doesn't mean therapy or insurance coverage aren't valuable, but it does mean that they can't carry the load alone. Without supportive culture and policy, clinical services end up underused or worse, ineffective. Now let's dig into who's actually using these benefits, because the answer isn't the same across all groups. Let's look at gender. Women reported higher utilization overall, especially when it came to peer support groups and mindfulness programs. Men used fewer benefits across the board. Parents, especially those with younger children, leaned heavily on flexible work arrangements and teletherapy. Non-parents showed lower engagement with those same services, and younger workers were far more likely to use digital apps and teletherapy, while older employees engaged the least overall. And then there's a finding that stopped us in our tracks. Non-binary employees reported well-being scores right at the clinical depression threshold. This highlights a critical equity issue. Benefits are not reaching or supporting every group equally. Organizations must be intentional about inclusivity, communication, and tailoring resources to the needs of all employees, not just the majority. Another important factor is company size. In organizations with more than 1,000 employees, the link between benefit utilization and reduced presenteeism was 3 times stronger than in small firms. Why? Larger organizations often have more sophisticated infrastructure, more resources, and broader communication channels. But this creates a challenge for small and mid-sized companies. How do they achieve the same impact without the same scale? One solution may be collaboration. Pooled benefits models, consortiums, or shared service arrangements where smaller organizations can punch above their weight by working together. The key takeaway is that scale matters, but innovation can level the playing field. So, what should employers do with all of this? Here are a few takeaways straight from our research. Track utilization, not just access. It's time to stop measuring success by the size of the benefits menu and start measuring it by employee engagement with those benefits. Close the awareness gap. Many employees simply don't know what's available to them. Communication campaigns are just as important as the programs themselves. Invest in cultural levers. Flexible work, manager training, mental health days are low-cost, high-impact interventions that build trust and normalize use. Tailor strategies by demographics. One size doesn't fit all. Gender, age, parental status all influence usage patterns. Inclusion must be intentional. Leverage scale creatively. Larger companies can maximize impact, while smaller ones need to partner or innovate to achieve the same outcomes. When we step back, this study challenges a fundamental assumption in workforce health. For years, employers have competed on the breadth of their benefits. More was better. But our data says otherwise. Benefits only create value when employees actually use them and when the culture of the organization supports that use. That's a shift from thinking about benefits as a catalog of options to thinking of them as a system of engagement. It's not about how many programs you offer, it's about whether your employees feel safe, supported, and encouraged to engage. So let's recap a little bit. Utilization is the true driver of outcomes, not access. Cultural supports like flexibility and manager training outperform clinical services when it comes to business impact. And demographics and organizational size shape usage in important ways. And the future of mental health strategy is about engagement with purpose. If you'd like to read the full report, you can download it on our website at ibiweb.org. We also have a webinar where I go through the findings in much more detail on our website as well at ibiweb.org.
That wraps up this episode of Research Roundup by Integrated Benefits Institute. We hope you found the insights valuable and the research thought-provoking. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us to improve and bring you the content you need. Don't forget to share this podcast with your colleagues and network. Join us next time as we continue to explore the latest trends and research in employee health and well-being and workplace productivity. Until then, stay curious and keep learning.